So a lot of you have been asking me what sous vide is. Sousvide. S-O-U-S, which means under vacuum in French, sous vide. Now, some people say sous vide, some people say sous vide, some who don't know much say sous vide. But the key is we're doing sous vide. When we ordered this in, Cheryl was like, why? And I said, because all we're eating right now is meat, and I need some variety in how I cook it. So is it an essential tool in the kitchen? No, but I think for a carnivore and people who like meat, it's a really good idea. So let's first talk about what it is. So sous vide means under vacuum. So we're gonna cook a chuck roast. This has been in the freezer. It's been vacuum sealed. All right, so we're gonna get to that in a few minutes. Now, most of you know that when you cook a chuck roast, it goes in the crock pot, it cooks all day, and then it comes out actually really overdone. But it has to be overdone in order for you to eat it and not have all of the, the collagen tied up in it. What we do with sous vide is we take a container. Now you can use any bucket of water. This one is a 12-quart sous vide bucket that I got on Amazon. I'll put the link below. They're about $30 to $40 depending on what day it is on Amazon. And you fill it up with water. The lid goes on it because that's going to keep everything from evaporating. And then it's just going to sit here on the kitchen counter. Now what's so good about this is I can cook meat. Well, just a sec, let's get this ready and I'll show you the equipment first. Okay, so we now have our bucket of water. Again, if you have a large cooking bucket, you can do that. But for me, it was just easier to get the right equipment. And you're going to need a sous vide wand. Now what this wand does is it lets me set temperature and time. All right, and this is the Anova. This one I just checked on Amazon. It's on sale right now for $100. They're usually about $120. So this is going to circulate the water and keep the water at exactly the temperature we want it at. So this goes in here. Now what's so fun about this is that with meat, we like meat in our family to be medium rare. That means it's going to be about 131, 132 degrees. So when I put a steak in here, so this is a skirt steak, it already came to me packaged. So I could actually put this right in here right now, set this for about 2 hours. And 2 hours is what I use for a regular steak. Skirt steak is tougher, so I'm going to probably cook this for 4 to 6 hours. But what will happen with the sous vide is that it will bring the temperature of this meat up to 131 degrees. We'll cook the meat through from top to bottom to middle, and this meat will cook to 131 degrees or whatever you set it for. So perfectly medium rare. The other day I did chicken breast in here, set it for 161, 62 degrees, which is just right for chicken. Not too much, not too little. Put it in here for 2 hours, and the chicken came out perfectly cooked. Then we just put it into some other stuff we were making. So I can take this and drop it right into here, set my timer. Now the other fun thing about this is there's no smells. We do a lot of clients in the house, people in the house, and so if I have meat smells going all day long, the fire alarm's going off, that's not too good from smoking stuff in the skillet. But I can take and put, if Cheryl and I are having steak for lunch, or any meat for that matter, but I can put 2 steaks in here, set it for 131 degrees, set it for 2 hours, and come back in 2 hours, or even 3, because it doesn't overcook. It stays at that exact temperature. 2-3 hours, there's a little bit of what they call, there's a margin with sous vide. If you cook it for a real long time, it's going to tenderize it like we're going to do with this. This is actually going to go in here for about 30 to 36 hours. So we're going to tenderize this way down. If I put a good steak in here for 30 hours, it's going to be a little bit mushy when we get done. The skirt steak, a little bit tougher. I'll cook it for 4 to 6 hours. But a steak, about 2 hours. The steak then comes out perfectly cooked. It just looks naked because it hasn't been seared. So then I have to just throw it in the skillet real quick with a little bit of butter or tallow, sear it up, and we have steak ready. Usually what I do when the weather's nice, take it outside. That way I don't have to worry about the smoke alarms. But it just takes me a minute or two to sear it quickly, and lunch is ready to go. So again, if I put them in here at 9 in the morning, about 12 o'clock, 11, 12, they're ready to take out, and then I can sear them, we can have lunch. So that's the basic concept of sous vide. You can do vegetables in it, you can do fish in it, you can do anything. A lot of you remember many, many years ago when we were little, there was a company called Bird's Eye, and they made vegetables, and they put them in little packets, and they had the butter in with them, probably margarine back then, and they had the seasonings in it. You just took that little bird's eye package out, put it in boiling water, and then they showed those great commercials on TV. You just snip the top off and you pour it out and your peas are ready to go. That was sous vide in its early form. Sous vide is used significantly in high-end kitchens to cook food to the exact right temperature. But in your home, what we are finding is this is a great tool, a great asset for making cooking easy and fun. Yes, oh, and Cheryl just reminded me, I can also reheat in this. So if I have cooked, let's say I've cooked 2 steaks today, and I'll leave and I'll just put them in right like this, and they're all cooked. I can put them in the fridge, and they will stay fine for a couple of days. I can take them back out, drop them in a sous vide machine for 20, 30 minutes, bring them up to eat. We had a friend came down for dinner. He brought steaks and lamb chops. He cooked them in the morning, brought them down here while everybody was getting ready for dinner. I put them in the sous vide machine because guess what? He cooked them medium rare. And if I went out and put them on the grill or in the skillet, they would go from medium rare to medium to even medium well done. But by putting them in here at 130 degrees, they reheated to medium rare and they did not pass that. It's an amazing, wonderful thing. So that's the quick introduction to sous vide. It's a great way for you to have fun cooking in the kitchen. We'll be right back with how to do a chuck roast. So let's make a chuck roast in the sous vide machine. The first time I did this, I was a little bit reluctant. In fact, we were actually running behind schedule. So I put this in frozen, added an extra 3 hours to it, and guess what? It worked. What we want to do today is we're going to take this chuck roast out. And what we've been doing with our meat is, one of the ways we make meat affordable is I watch the ads every week to see what's on sale. So Whole Foods had a sale on chuck roast. I think I bought about 8 of them. King Soopers had a sale on New York strips. I bought a lot of them. But the reason we could cook this just like this, but what I want to do is get it seasoned, and then we're going to rebag it, all right? I was testing out my salt before we started. That was not a great idea. I'm using a new salt. So we're just going to dry this off a little bit, and then we're going to season it very well. We better dry our hands, Cheryl, because I'm going to put my fingers in the salt. This is a lot easier to do when you're not making cooking videos. So we're going to season this very heavily. I'm using kosher salt. It's easier to see how it's going on. So we're going to kosher salt it well and hold it together nicely. And you really can't over salt these, over season them when you're cooking them in here, because what's going to happen is all of this seasoning is going to just soak into the meat as we're cooking it. Now, a lot of times you'll see people doing a lot of different rubs on their meat. What we found is that the more meat we eat, the happier we become with just salt, because we're wanting to avoid all of the inflammatory seasonings. And I'm using green peppercorns. We get these from the Spice House. You got that there, Cheryl? See, it says right there, green peppercorns. I made the label myself. And so green peppercorns, not inflammatory like black peppercorns. So if you want your pepper, you just order these in, and then you've got to grind them up. They come already. They're still pretty potent. It's getting into my eyes and nose. And we will season this up nicely. And this is going in tonight. What are we looking at? It's about 6 o'clock. So I'm going to set this for about 30 hours. I'll do it for 36 hours because we can't really overcook it now. And then it'll be ready. What's today? Sunday? It'll be ready Tuesday morning. So we're going to have chuck roast ready all day Tuesday and Wednesday. Now, I found another seasoning I like a lot. This is a real salt product. They do smoked salt. This is their chef's blend. So it's just smoke and salt. So it still fits my carnivore diet. And we're just going to hit this. It'll give it just a little bit of smoke seasoning. It's not real intense when you do the sous vide, but it lets me at least feel like we're putting some flavor into this because we no longer do all of the meat rubs. Okay, now again, this could have gone in just the way it was, but this is going to make a better product for us. Okay. Now what we need to do is I'm just going to add some butter to this. So once in the bag, we're going to have some butter cooking in there with it. So we're going to add a little bit of fat to it while we're moving along. This just seems to me to be a fun thing to do. Probably might not need to do it, but it's going to just give it a little bit of great butter flavor while it's cooking. And now we've got two choices. We can re-vacuum seal this way. You get out the vacuum sealer, put it back in the vacuum seal bag, and seal it up tightly. Or we can use a Ziploc bag. We'll just fold this back because we don't want the little zippy lock part to get meat in it, because then it won't seal up properly. And I think it's going to fit. We're going to hope it fits. If it doesn't fit, we'll start over and come back. Okay, so in we go. Usually I have Cheryl do this with me, but she's running the camera right now. There we go. Beautiful. We just push our butter down in there. Okay, so we're in the Ziploc bag, and I'm going to take a quick break to wipe my hands off. Now, this bag needs to have all of the air out of it. It's not going to be totally vacuum sealed like it would be if we put it in a vacuum seal in our food sealer, food saver, but we can do what they call the water bath method. So I'm going to make sure that this is sealed tightly. We don't want water getting into it, okay? That's the big thing. We don't want water in it. There's something stuck right there. So we're going to make sure there's a little piece of salt there. We don't want that in there. So we're going to make sure this is tight. Now, you all know what happens when we put it in water. Water will displace the air. So she'll come around here. And we're just going to put this in here like this and let the water displace the air. There comes all the air coming out. Keep this corner out of the water. The water's actually already warm because I turned it up hot. Okay, so all the water's coming, the air's coming out. And there's the last of the air. There's still a little bit in there. Not much. And I found that this is just as effective, 99% as effective as resealing this in a vacuum seal bag, because we want this to stay underwater the whole time. There we go. Okay, make sure we're sealed nice and tight. And now this is sinking down in here just fine. And we come up to our machine, and we're going to change this to the temperature we want. I'm going to cook it to 132, which is going to be a beautiful medium rare. And I'm going to hit go. It's going to start heating up. Now I hit the timer. And we're going to take this up to 36 hours. I'm going to do 34 hours because that'll be about when we want it. There we go. Okay. I've seen people on the internet cooking for 20 hours, but I did my last one for 34 hours and it came out great. So now we're done with the chuck roast. There's no chuck roast smells in the house. There's nothing in the house. This is just going to slowly come up to temperature. It's going to cook the whole thing through, and then it's going to keep processing and make it softer and tender. And I will give you a picture of the finished product. It came out amazing. So once this comes out of the sous vide, I bring it outside and sear it in a cast iron skillet. I just have a little portable gas burner stove. The reason for that is I don't have all the smoke and the grease in the house. So we just sear it up nicely to give it a nice appearance. Not essential for the cook and the flavor, but it is nice. It makes it just look a little bit better. So I will put it up on its edge. You get the edges real nicely done. And you want to work, you can see that the people nice looking sear on the outside. And I've got some beef tallow in here. Just a little bit of beef tallow. That's right here. And I use a little bit of this tallow. We're still trying to figure out which tallow we like best. So here we have our beautiful chuck roast, cooked for about 30, I think this one cooked for about 34 hours. And then I brought it out and seared it. And next we are going to cut it open so you can see how amazing of a roast this makes. And there we have a beautiful chuck roast. It looks very different than the chuck roast that we put in the crock pot because it is medium rare through and through with a nice crust on the outside. I just seasoned this with salt and green peppercorns. And just a little plug. I love my Victorinox knife. If you're looking for a good, affordable, easy to sharpen kitchen knife, Victorinox is truly, I think, the way to go. I've got a chef friend. He loves them. I learned about them from the Bearded Butchers. It's a really nice, easy knife to have in the kitchen. And if you're doing a lot of meat, you need a good knife for doing that. So Victorinox gives you a great option. Sous vide and yogurt. Many of you know that we have started making our own yogurt or fermented milk. We're making the El Reuteri and the El Gasserai yogurt. And we have a cute little yogurt maker to make that in. But making little dishes of yogurt, I gotta make it all the time, everybody's eating it so fast. Well, if you make your yogurt in quart jars, which don't fit in the cute little yogurt maker, I can make 2 quarts of yogurt, put it into these jars, and guess what? Put the lid on loosely, and I set the temperature on my sous vide machine for 95 degrees, 95, 96 degrees. And then this is just going to set in the water bath, and I will set it for 36 hours. And when it's all done, I'm going to just take out 2 quarts or 3 quarts. I can actually cook 3, maybe even 4 quarts in here. So it's a great option for making yogurt the fun and easy way. The only negative I found to it is when I'm making yogurt, don't get to make my steaks. Although I did do something fun the other day. I was going to cook the steaks outside and I was running out of time. This was at 95 degrees. I cooked my steak, put the steaks in here for 2 hours, brought them to 95 degrees, so they were cooked all the way to 95, took them out, and then they just had to take a little bit longer on the grill to bring them up to medium rare. So that worked well too. But sous vide machine, another great way to make your El Reuteri or any other type of yogurt.